A to Z Composites, cowling, fairing, covers, installation instructions. 2022 KLR 650. Remove factory side covers, retain upper bolt and nylon washer as they will be reused. Then you just gotta kind of give this thing a little bit of a pry. It's got some rubber grommets, pegs that go into and built into the back of the cover. You can reinstall this grommet into the fairing if you want to. If it comes out on the cover, or you can just leave it out. It doesn't make any difference. I just prefer to put it back in, being as this is a dealer's bike. Then you have to remove the mounting bolt for the inside steel structure of the fairing. So on the Adventure models with the light bar, this spacer is not required, because the light bar comes back and has an 0.90 inch thick mounting tab on this surface. But the base model and the travel model don't have that. So you have to compensate. This was made off of a model with a light bar on it, so you have to compensate for that light bar thickness with a spacer. So yeah, you're just gonna put the lower bolt in, position it somewhere about where it needs to be, and you got to be careful because you can see how that bolt was hard to push in. I would get it close, even if it's not threaded in, and then I would insert the upper bolt and start it. The same thing, get a couple threads in. And then you have to kind of do a little bit of finagling in there to get that to line up. The reason why is there's an actual steel bar structure underneath this fairing that is loose. Once you pull that mounting bolt out, that's loose. So it's just, being as it's just a steel bar, it doesn't really have a lot of structure to hold it lined up. And if you have the light bar on there too, then you have a whole nother steel flat bar that you have to line up. So you have two loose surfaces and then the mounting surface beside it, so behind it. So it's kind of a little finagling, but it does go in, and it does line up good. It's just a matter of just making sure, you don't want to cross thread that bolt. Yeah, and so you're just going to snug down these bolts. We've got that spacer in there, so just snug these guys down. And then you just want to check for clearance around this edge. Make sure you got good clearance all the way around. It's not going to rub on anything. The 90 thou spacer should be just fine for this, being as that is compensating for that light bar mount. If there's any problem with that, we've provided a 60 thou spacer and a 120 thou spacer, so you could either shim it out a little bit or bring it in a little bit to make it fit a little bit better. Yeah, and at that point, you can tighten it down. And, you don't want to over tighten the upper bolt, being as it's just going into a rubber grommet. It's like an expanding rubber grommet. Yeah, and then once again, just go around and check and make sure you've got good clearance. Even the adventure models with a light bar on it may need to be shimmed just because of the differences in Kawasaki's manufacturing. These bikes, you know, not every one of them is the same, and you've got the fairing, you've got another separate piece of the fairing here, and the gas tank. So you have three different things there that could be out as far as when it was assembled by the manufacturer. So yeah, just be good to check and make sure you got good clearance. So yeah, no, that sounds good. There we go.